Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to 4 Tier Fever. Hope you guys are doing well. We're doing this one live. This one's we're trying to venture out into like different grounds here, or I don't know. We thought we'd give this one a whirl, and we'll see how it goes. So if you've got any thoughts, we always love to hear from you. So if you are joining us this evening, be sure to comment on what your thought. If you want to say hi, call any of us. I don't know, whatever you want to call us. Then go ahead. We're all ears for it. There's a lot to get through tonight, so I think it's even better that I think we are doing this one sort of live for it. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll take it from there. I am joined by Luke and Jake this evening. We'll have a quick meet up. How are you boys doing? At least you're not. We don't have Jack with us, so it's probably not as miserable, or maybe it'll be, compared to the news last night. But I'm sure we'll get into it. I'm sure everything's okay at the minute, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think things are permanently miserable here, but Tranmere finally got a little bit of a respite anyways. I'm sure we're likely to discuss very, very soon. But just before we start, also want to say a huge thank you to those subscribers out there, because we've just hit 600, and the support has been immense recently. So made sure we've mentioned it. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, and we really do appreciate it. Any sort of likes, comments, shares, whatever. It helps us go a long way, and it does sort of blow our minds a little bit. Somewhat the response to the podcast, not just in recent weeks, but over the course of the season, we really do appreciate it. And long may it continue. Jake, how are you, mate?
Yeah, better than I was on Saturday, but we've cheered myself up with 600 subscribers now, so onwards and upwards.
Perfecto. Right, there's a lot to get into. I think it's probably fair we start at Prenton Park, isn't it? Obviously, last night, Tranmere up against Accrington Stanley. It was a huge game for both down in the relegation battle. Known, I think, with 3 points for pretty much either team, gives them that little bit of respite, a little bit. It calms a few nerves down, and it was Accrington Stanley that got it. They picked up all 3 points with a 1-0 win, thanks to a goal from Sean Wally, like 5 minutes into the second half. I've got my thoughts on this, and we'll get into that all sorts. It was also the night in which Nigel Adkins said farewell to Tranmere Rovers. It sounded like he resigned. It didn't sound like he was sacked or anything like that from their owners. So it certainly looked like that he'd had enough, and he thought the time was the time for change is now. There's a little bit in the statement, which caught my eye a little bit, and again we'll get into that eventually. Tranmere did confirm that Andy Crosby will take charge of the Port Vale game this weekend. I mean, look, Andy Crosby coming up against Port Vale, I think it probably is a story in itself after his recent spell there. And obviously, a couple of names going around the rumour mill at the minute, with one name who was recently in the Championship, was one that's been, has been talked about a fair bit. Gentlemen, let's start with the game. Just on the result, I'm not sure if you watched it or not. I watched it, and I'll give my views on it in a minute. Big win for Accrington Stanley. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a proper 6-pointer, isn't it? There's two sides of supposedly trying to avoid relegation, but in all truth, you could kind of see why Accrington are probably more likely to survive. They just had that little bit of fight about them. Just look at the goal that Tranmere conceded. It's a mistake at the back. It's just so unnecessary. And it's not like that was even the first instance within that game. Ash Hunter had a one-on-one earlier as well that very easily could have gone in. So there was no point where Tranmere seemed to have much fight in them, if we're being totally honest. And even if you're not prepared to battle for the manager, when you're battling to stay in the Football League, just do it for the sake of actually having a job in professional football. Because who's going to gamble on these players if they can't do it at the bottom end of League Two?
Yeah, I'll get on to Jake in a minute with the whole Nigel Adkins stuff, but I wanted to say a few things on it. I watched the game last night, and I think the first thing that caught my eye pretty early on is the fact that I was watching two poor teams. They were poor, and I didn't think, in terms of the levels that they're both are, I don't think they're that much dissimilar. I mean, we know that Tranmere had their own problems in that attack and all that sort of stuff. They can't buy a win at the minute. Accrington, I think we've gone about most of the season saying that I don't think the quality of the squad is good enough, but they have picked up some pretty big wins at key times, and I think you looked at it yesterday. I watched the game yesterday. I think Accrington deserved the victory, and I think they probably should have won by a few more. I think if it was any other team, if it was a slightly better team, I think they win that 3-0. You mentioned that Ash Hunt's a chance that is absolutely huge in the game from a mistake in which they didn't capitalise on. They had a chance right at the end of the game, which was just dragged out to the far post. But it was, I think Sean Wally does really well. I think it was a really good finish, and he still has a lot to do with there. But I think if you're looking at it from a Tranmere perspective, again, it's another really poor goal. There's no two ways about it. There's a lot I think to make of both. Obviously, I think the management and the players. I think some of the players. Obviously, Nigel Adkins has taken the flak of most of this season. I think rightly so, if I'm going to be completely honest. But I look at the players. I don't think this is a side that are just. It doesn't look like they're down tools. I just think that the lack of quality is just not there. They're so like. I was watching the game yesterday on. I won't tell you where I watched the game. We'll keep that quiet. But I was watching the game through the commentary team for BBC for the Accrington Stanley, and I think they were going on pretty much all that saying how much Tranmere were poor, and it was also stuff saying that they were. It was like they were playing like a rugby match. It felt a little bit like hot potato in a sort of way. Tranmere didn't want the ball. They just didn't want it. They were hoofing it up forward every single time, and they just looked abysmal. It wasn't for the lack of trying. They had loads of chances, a load of wasteful chances, I've got to say. But that's just where they are. When they haven't scored in pretty much half your games, that's what you come to expect from them. And they're in massive trouble. Let's not pick any bones about it. They're in absolutely massive trouble. And I sort of saw a point yesterday that they're just outside of the relegation zone. The fact that they've not been in the relegation zone longer this season blows my mind, actually, because you've got Carlisle and you've got Morecambe that are somehow worse than them currently at present. I think those three teams that are around there at the minute might be the worst three teams I've seen in League Two for a little bit. Because I think, all three have got circumstances. Tranmere have got, it sounds like there's a takeover coming through, but ultimately they've got a lot of injuries, and, the squad has been, well, it writes its own story how poor they've been, with the lack of quality, the lack of goals. We all know the issues at Morecambe, in terms of their financial struggle, and we know that they haven't really got a side not quite good enough, but they've got a manager there who I think their manager is one of their only sources of hope. And then you've got Carlisle, who God knows what they've been up to this season. Loads of players, they've not been good enough. Now onto their third manager, and he's struggling to get a bit of a tune at the minute as well. And time's running out for them. I don't recall a relegation battle where I've seen three clearer worse teams. I mean, look, I mean, and this is coming from someone that had Grimsby near the bottom of the table last year. But trust me, we weren't anywhere as bad as that. We may have lost like 6-1 to Walsall and 5-1 to Doncaster, but I honestly think whatever run I think any of those three teams go on, whoever stays up, I honestly think should count themselves very lucky, because they are. There's nothing else to say other than the fact that those three teams are appalling. And like I said, I do think the players have to take some of the flak, but it's mainly on Nigel Adkins, I think. And actually, we just got Kieran joined us. Hello, mate.
Hello. How are we, you bunch of strangers?
Yeah, join us live.
That probably shows you how updated I am on the fourth tier FIFA WhatsApp. Didn't even know we were going live today.
Well, there you go. You've joined at a good time. We're just having a moan about Tranmere Rovers. I'm doing it in the chat.
Without we've even got it up there. Look at us all being happy.
Perfect. Right, I've moaned enough. Obviously, Nigel Adkins has gone, I think, 3-4 months too late, to be quite honest. I think whatever happens now, there's going to be a bit of a rush. I think you see these names that are going around. I think they'll probably go down the route because there's an incoming takeover. What sounds to be maybe that's someone that they get until the end of the season and then take it from there. You probably look at Andy Crosby, players, people like that. I think, is it Neil Dans that's with them as well? I think he's a name that I've mentioned quite a bit. But I think he should have been gone months ago. Let's call it as it is. There's a lot of work to do there. Jake and Kerry, we'll get both your thoughts basically just on the whole thing. Jake, we'll come to you first. What did you think?
Yeah, like you said, it is a couple of months late. I think he probably should have gone when they got knocked out the FA Cup to Oldham. If the takeover wasn't on the horizon, then I'm sure he would have been gone, and they wouldn't have just waited and tried to stay up and then just let him go then with a new takeover. But they are so poor, and like you said, how are they not in the relegation zone? They're lucky that the 3 up, 3 down discussion's happening now and not 12 months ago, because they probably deserve to go down because they are probably the worst team in the Football League, because you'd rather be in Morecambe's position because at least it's explainable. They're just so poor.
Yeah, I'd probably agree to an extent. Probably not into the position of, obviously, I think you meant more on the pitch, of course, because no one wants to be in the state of Morecambe's ownership. But it's hard to disagree, really. They have been absolutely atrocious. And when you can't score in half your games, I think, you've got a big problem there. They could have played until the end of the season last night, and I don't think they'd have scored. And I think that says a lot. Kieran, thoughts about it? Obviously, the rumour mill's going around. Ryan Lowe is a name that's been mentioned. It'll be a very bloody good appointment if they do it. But I'm personally of the opinion that I think they'll probably go short term until the end of the season. But if they can get an appointment in now, great. But I'd imagine that if they do that, it'll probably be of the opinion and maybe of the backing of what may be the potential incoming new owners. That's the opinion I get of that.
Yeah, I don't really see them going for a long-term manager with the situation they've got at the minute with all of the ownership and probably where they are. I don't think there'll be many managers looking at Tranmere and going long-term, despite how many changes they're going to have and all this other stuff. It's something that they'll want to potentially partake in. But to almost agree with you the entire time. 4 months too late. I know that Nigel Adkins is rumoredly mates with the owner and all that stuff. And, there was a lot of comments on the Twitter yesterday as to that's probably why he lasted so long, because I don't think any other club would have kept him for that long under those circumstances. But it needs to be a short-term fix, because they may have this ownership go through, and then long-term they can look at, progressing as a club and going back to almost where they were, fighting for promotion and whatnot. As of right now, they just need to score bloody goals, get a coach in who knows how to train his team to put the ball in the back of the net. Like, it's just, how do you go 50% of your games without scoring? That is bizarre to me. It's not even like, they get an own goal or a lucky goal. They don't even get any luck during the game. I watched that Accrington game. How they didn't score, I'll never know. But I suppose the excusable reason is that it's Tranmere. Short-term fix, please, Tranmere, because otherwise you'll be Morecambe saviours most likely. Let's be fair.
We're great football managers, aren't we? Yes, just score more goals.
My football manager save that I do with Newport, I'm 1-0 down, 75 minutes to go. My immediate change, gegenpress, very attacking. Nothing different. That's what we go for. Still got the King Omar Bogle there, who missed an absolute sitter for me yesterday. I was livid. Guys, Tranmere Rovers, if you're listening, I believe that I am the right fit for management of your football club, because I will tell them, plain and simple, put the ball in the back of the net. Sort it out, lads. Thanks.
There you go, Tranmere Rovers. If you need anyone, in this interview process for the manager, you know who to contact. Make sure you get in touch with Kieran. He'll be there straight away. Not the furthest as well for him to travel compared to, or maybe not Jay. that period. I don't think it's it's a little bit of a trek for
Listen, I don't understand why it doesn't work. I've offered my managerial services to Barrow. I've done it to Bradford. Did it to Newport for a bit. Nobody wants me as a manager. Nobody gives me a chance.
Yeah, I think
why
Bradford
that
might be all right at the minute.
I
Maybe give it to.
Listen, until you can get promoted to the Premier League with Dulwich Hamlets, I don't know what anything else is relevant at this point.
Yeah, we'll take it from there. Also, I did mention this last night. I beg for anyone who's watching it and has watched one of our early episodes, please don't go back and watch the ranking of managers. Because it was, I think Jake brought it up to me the other week when we stopped recording, but we had like Nigel Adkins as in like top end of League One quality or whatever it was.
I don't mind them.
We literally said he'd work well in the Championship.
Yeah, and
I was watching back the clip, and I don't remember who said it, but one of you said, it might have been me who said it, and I quote, "How are they managing in League Two?" How that has aged is phenomenal, but whoever said it, I'm sure you meant how are they managing in League Two? They should be significantly lower.
I mean, that statement still works. It's just now for the opposite reason.
Well, I suppose if you flip around the table as well, then we're spot on.
that's a good where we put Matt Sattler as well.
Oh, we put him in the middle.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few. I think Williamson was quite high in it.
Yeah, he was.
From what I recall.
I'm pretty sure we put Mark Kennedy middle of the road. We put him above managers, which was bad enough in itself.
Don't tell me we did that, did we? That would have been the worst.
He was either middle of the road or he was second from Bolton. But the fact he wasn't Bolton, that's horrible.
Oh God, we really had a stinker there, didn't we?
Yeah, can we go delete that? Can we go delete that video real quick?
Yeah, it might be something.
Still private.
Might be something we revisit it at some point. But I pretty much agreed with the whole. He did help himself. I mean, I know it's Amari Patrick as a wing back is a decision I can't get my head around. A couple of others I've seen a lot of bit about Sol Solomon as well, probably one of their brightest players this season, and another one that's been played out of position. Yeah, I think the players have to take the blame, but some of the decisions from the manager I can't get my head around. And then he had to go. He had to go for the last few months, but now he's gone. There's a big few months for Tranmere of because at the minute they're staring the National League right in the face. And how long were they in it there for? 3 years when they dropped down. Obviously with the takeover coming through, but if it's anything like this season, they'll be there for a while. Trust me on that. Right, we've talked enough about them. Let's have a look at the other games. Let's have a look at Walsall, shall we? 2-0 up in the 91st minute. Come the 93rd minute, it's 2-2 at Cheltenham. Yeah, it's a great point for Cheltenham.
What a manager! Always rated Michael Flynn. Mate.
Yeah,
what a gaffer!
It's a great point for Cheltenham, but Walsall, they must be. I'll tell you what, I saw a tweet. I think it was in the 90th minute about how many Walsall fans are in attendance. It was like 1,000 of them saying that that I went. What was it? Was it bouncing or something? Yeah, I doubt it was bouncing a few minutes later. I'll be completely honest. But
by the time he rendered the tweet, I'm pretty sure it was 2-1. I'm pretty sure by the time that tweet went out, it was 2-1, and Cheltenham were on the attack for 2-2.
Yeah,
that aged well, didn't it?
I don't think they could have timed that any worse. But yeah, it's dropped points for Walsall. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just find this one quite funny, to be honest. Just because we've sort of been saying, oh yeah, Walsall were better in the second half and all the rest of it, and then they go and blow a 2-0 lead in the second half. I don't think Walsall necessarily been awful as such. I think this is just a case of Cheltenham have a lot of fight in them, and this was a game where they really just went for it. I do think there was an element of luck to that equaliser, but you have to ask the right questions to get the answers, and by going for goal, little deflection, you're not going to mind it, are you? It's you just got to go for it, and that's exactly what they've done. They had nothing to lose, and they've got themselves a point. Not too much to complain about, and I don't think it's necessarily going to suddenly put Cheltenham in the running for playoffs or anything, but it's still an impressive point from that perspective.
It's certainly something to note as to how good Cheltenham have been last few weeks. We'll obviously we'll have to talk about them a little bit more than there, because obviously at home they have been really good as well. But at home again this weekend, they've got us. I don't really know what to think of it, to be honest, other than the fact it's going to be a really difficult game of football. I think that's one thing certain. But it's certainly great character. I think you've got to say that from a Cheltenham perspective. Other than the fact it started really well for Walsall as well, took the lead in the first minute with Ellis Harrison. I know that how much you raved on a little bit when he scored that goal for the fact he was still sitting on your bench rather than playing for you at the minute, which he could do with, and he's gone to the top of the league.
Yeah, don't know why we did that. That was ridiculous. He's been sat on the bench all the season before. Meanwhile, we've got our strikers not doing anything. But that's another story.
Yeah, it's a bit like your players not doing anything, let alone your strikers.
Yeah.
Jake, how impressive have you been of Cheltenham in recent weeks? Because I've really liked what I've seen, actually.
Yeah, obviously they had such a big overhaul in the summer. It was always going to take a little bit of time because new manager, a lot of signings coming in, and they struggled a little bit at the start, and now they've sort of turned that corner and they look like a really solid side. Obviously they're not going to push on and do much, even though they are in 11th, but they do look like a steady side that perhaps next season with the right additions could be a bit of an underdog.
I mean, I look at it. I think they're only 7 points adrift. It's certainly not beyond the realms of impossible yet. I mean, they played a game less than Bromley, who are just above them. If they can get a few more results together, there's no reason why they can't do it. They'll need some favours from team, for teams, that are losing, above them. But they're very much in this. I fancy them more than compared to like a Fleetwood. And I know that Luke's raved on a bit for maybe Colchester at the minute, as much as they've been impressive themselves. I mean, there's maybe little bits of aspects here to go with that, but I've liked him, and of course, under Michael Flynn, Kieran knows him well. They had a good win at Newport last week.
Okay, you had to mention that, didn't you? Yeah, you had to mention that. Thanks for that. I was going to say stay silent about that whole thing. Didn't even wasn't there at the game. Checked my Twitter at halftime. Saw we were 2-0 down. Saw that second goal. Jesus Christ!
What a way to end your unbeaten run. I claimed that you pretty much pressed the self-destruct button, especially after that second goal. I mean,
I think that's about accurate. Self-destruct button after the second goal, I think, is about generous. I think after that first goal, that was kind of it. We made about 2 chances the whole game.
Yeah, finished with 10 men as well. No more strikers.
Oh God, what are we gonna do? Don't play Josh.
You were the one that was putting your CV in for all these clubs.
I might have to put my CV. Okay, Newport. I would like to put my name in the hat for a 1-game contract for Saturday, because we don't have a bloody striker. Now, I played goalkeeper for a bit, so I don't know how it's going to really compensate to being a striker, but in the same way that I tell Tranmere to put the ball in the back of the net, I'll tell myself put the ball in the back of the net. Real simple thing. Bob's your uncle, no problem whatsoever.
Just grow a little bit. Become 6'9". That's all you need to do.
Become 6'9", not be able to jump, and then when I jump, I become short. Yeah, thanks, Luke. Appreciate that, man. He's injured now as well, 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah.
Is it really a big loss?
So is Cargbo.
The great that is Carl Hudson.
So is Cargbo. Cargbo's doing really well for Chippenham as well. Why do we loan him? Why is Jeff got on loan as well? Oh my God.
That's the one that baffles me. You're lacking on strikers as it is, and you go and loan out Jeff Carter. Where is he at? Truro, is it?
Truro, yeah.
Yeah.
He's already scored as well. He's playing all right there.
Yeah, that was. Yeah,
Is there any other 6'9" strikers available on the market? You reckon there's another one?
I don't recall any. Whether Thomas Holy fancies playing outfield.
We can get Peter Crouch out of retirement for a game.
Yeah, can he grow a tad bit more? He like 6 foot. Oh no, yeah, I think he's 6'9".
Is he 6'9"?
I don't know. He's around that.
I'm gonna have to search. You continue this conversation. I'm gonna search how tall Peter Crouch is.
Right.
I can put comments on the screen. Look at this.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, you can do it. Oh, yeah. Respect the
Yeah,
time.
'cause I'm
Ray.
alone.
Yes.
Yeah. You've got.
Yeah.
Oh well, you can go. Oh, look at that.
Evening.
Good evening, Jack. Yeah, how are you?
Oh, this is fantastic. I'm going to wind Ryan up with that because he's not going to want any of the comments to appear on my
How
screen.
about we get back to the games?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's touch on Bradford. Another win for them yesterday. I think a little bit has been made on their recent, away form. I think we've mentioned their home form to death and how ridiculous they have been at home. Was it 9 straight home victories? They left it late at Bromley yesterday, but they found the way through. Probably deserved. They're up to second, and it's a great win for them. 7 points separates them and Walsall at the minute. Who knows? I still don't think they will. But in terms, they have been very
6'7". So
He's
Kyle
6'7",
Hudley.
is he?
Kyle Hudley.
Yeah, I thought he was just slightly smaller than 6'9", but I wasn't.
It's not exactly. I understand we're slightly drifting away, but it's not exactly a height comparison you get to usually make. Oh, he's 6'7", but he's still shorter than this one guy.
I was gonna say he's not exactly Messi, is he?
Yeah.
In height, probably. Well, in ability, mate, as well. Yeah, Bradford, great win at Bromley. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I mean, it was, to be fair. It's. They looked like they were on top for most of it. They've had to sort of grind it out a little bit, wait for their goal, but they did get it in the end. And Bromley's not necessarily an easy place to go. We always say they're a physical side. In terms of defence, I don't think they're necessarily the most organised, but they use their numbers quite well, and they will sort of crowd you out a bit. So in the end, Bradford did find a way to pick them apart, and they've got the result, which. This end of the season, that's all that really matters, and it's a huge 3 points on the road.
And another goal for Bobby Boynton as well, a player that I really like, 21 years of age. He's got a good career ahead of him. Sorry to any Bradford fans that are listening. No, I really like him as a player. I think I think there was maybe one or two arguments to make that maybe Bromley showed him a little bit too much respect, but I think it was always going to be a difficult game. Truth be told, and Bromley are in this sort of period. I mean, they've had 3 wins on the spin before that. They were unbeaten in their last 4. It probably should have been 4 wins in a row. Rome. London and Rome. Yeah, it probably should have been 4 wins in a row if they didn't throw away that 3-0 lead at Salford. Jake, where's my tenner? But it's a defeat. I don't know. I probably expected Bradford just to get the job done, but like I said, probably more of patience, I think. But they won't mind either way. It's huge for them. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, it's another huge win. They've not conceded in the league since middle of January. They've got us next, which will be a long game without injury crisis. So they're just keeping that momentum at this stage of the season. So important for them to just finally have a promotion push.
Yeah, exactly. It sort of felt like, it's about time. There's not really much more to say on that. Let's go to Gillingham Fleetwood. Gillingham have done what they're pretty good at doing at the minute and not picking up 3 points. They took the lead in this one, which was a little bit of a surprise in itself, but ended up losing 2-1 to Fleetwood with goals from Mark Helm and another goal for Ryan Graydon, who didn't go and shush the 30-odd or so Fleetwood fans last night or cup his ears as he got a fair bit of stick for yesterday. I mean, look, it's a decent win on the road for Fleetwood. Look, since John Coleman has gone in, Gillingham still haven't won. They need the season to finish, I think. Whether John Coleman was in the running until the end of the season, my guess probably not. I think he was just there just to see it out until the end of the season. But let's be honest, I don't think they'll be wanting to bring him back if come the end of the season, if I'm going to be honest. I think Gillingham need this season just to end because it's getting a bit boring now, I think, for them.
Oh, yeah, it's so poor from it. I don't think Coleman was necessarily the right appointment to begin with, if I'm being totally honest. But I mean, I think they're very lucky. There's not 3 relegation spots. Their form is awful. And bear in mind, I'm saying that as an MK Dons fan right now. Their form is awful. They need to find a way, just any kind of confidence booster, just any kind of win at this point. they haven't won since they beat us back in December. That is a joke. Like, come on, show any signs of life whatsoever. It's just not good enough, really.
I mean, look, they haven't won since mid-December, and that was at Stadium MK. I thought I'd bring that up again because it's quite amusing. Very nearly beat us at Blundell Park if it wasn't for a 97th minute Danny Rose goal. My God, that was an awful game of football. Kieran, what have you sort of just made on the whole thing? Looking at Fleetwood as well, but Gillingham as well. What have you taken away last few weeks?
This is what I was going to say just then, and it baffles me, and I found it even funnier when Luke went, I didn't think that Coleman was the right appointment from the get-go. Because I remember pretty vividly when we did the episode when John Coleman was appointed as Gillingham manager, we went, oh, this is a good appointment. God, that's age like milk as well, isn't it? Maybe we should start listening to the comments. Maybe we are awful at talking about football because everything we talk about goes the opposite way. But no, they've been poor. Let's be blunt about it. They have been really bad, and you know it's bad when Luke, hinted to it about the free relegation spots and whatnot. You know it's bad when the only reason that they're not teetering towards relegation, despite how poor they are, is because of how terrible teams lower down are. It's probably up there with one of the worst, if not the worst, bottom 5, bottom 6 of the League Two that I've seen in a good while. Like it's the I think are Newport in that? I hope not. But no, it's really poor from them, especially with the ambition that they promptly showed with the signings they made, but they tend to do that every year, don't they? Have a really good window on paper, never ends up working out. Fleetwood wise, I mean, it's another good win, isn't it? I think they're relatively frustrating in not being able to build a consistent run of positive results together and looking towards that top 7. Pete Wild's a good manager. We all knew that. Gets results even in not the prettiest games. I gave this game a little bit of a look. Didn't exactly look like one that will be remembered in 10 years' time. But yeah, I think Fleetwood-wise, we can maybe look at them for potentially contenders next season. I think it's quite difficult to put in towards contention this season, given how unpredictable this league is, and no doubt it'll be the same next year. Fleetwood looked decent. Gillingham looks like Gillingham without the defensive stability that we got accustomed to over the last 2 seasons or so. They're really bad. They generally are terrible at football.
Yeah, can't really argue with too much there. I think I expect big things from Fleetwood next season. I think, as you've mentioned, the fact that they've got Pete Wild, I think certainly gives them that chance. He's a manager I rate highly. Just a quick one on Coleman. I remember when he was appointed, it felt like a decent-ish enough appointment, but it also felt really strange. Like he's been at the game for a little bit, and the only club we've really known him at was Accrington Stanley. So it just felt different. It felt different, but I didn't mind the idea. But obviously, for one reason or another, it's not worked out. I think the players are a big part of that reason because they've been poor for months now, let alone weeks, and it has resulted in that. In their form, in which they look absolutely appalling. I mentioned about how I think the top 3 are, I think, the weakest. I think they've been for quite a bit. Kieran extended that to, was it 5, the bottom 5 or 6? And I think there's certainly arguments to be made there. I think the bottom of the table, I think, the teams around there are poor. I think they are poor. A comment from Bob. Luke has to go on when Dongsley's, because it's every week. And we make sure that we...
Can we play you every week? Can we play you every
I come on every single time I'm available. That's all I'm saying.
Can we play you? Can we play you every week? Can we play you every week? Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Yeah, let's have a look at the games this week, shall we? Right. I need to make sure to not miss any out this week because I very nearly missed out that Colchester game the other week. There is a game on tomorrow, and it's a pretty big one if you're a Carlisle supporter. They make the trip to Barrow. A Thursday night. I mean, it's a bit of a Cumbrian derby. Carlisle I've mentioned they're now at a point where they need wins, and and this is an opportunity, and this has to be an opportunity where they start to get us. Because yes, all right, Barrow maybe localish, maybe rival in terms of geography and in terms of I say league position. I mean, look, they've not been great. They've been very inconsistent themselves. This has got to be another game that Carlisle have got to go out and get all 3 points from. It's as simple as that.
Oh yeah, no, it's a big opportunity. Whether I can see them actually taking that opportunity, I'm not necessarily convinced, if I'm being honest. Barrow is a tricky place to go. It's not a place you can go and play, possession football or anything like that. And I know that Carlisle are just sort of trying to do anything they can at this point. It's not necessarily about the style of play anymore, but I don't know. I just don't think they've got that same level of fight that Barrow will bring. I think it'll be a scrappy game, but I do still think it would be a Barrow win.
Jake, thoughts?
I'm going to say Carlisle win, purely because they've picked up 2 clean sheets in a row under Mark Hughes. Like I said, it won't be an easy game for them, but I'm just not convinced on Barrow this season at all, so I'm going to say Carlisle.
Kieran's smirking a little bit there.
I'm looking at it.
Undecided, or
it's a very undecided one, because you look at what Mark Hughes has done so far. You're looking 2 defeats, 2 draws, but they're narrow defeats and they're 0-0s. So, within theory, the results are ever so slowly getting better, and a win needs to happen. They play Barrow, and then they then host the top of the league. So I feel if they're gonna win a game of football, it has to happen against Barrow, because they have a relatively difficult run. They got Harrogate within the next 5, but I'm still gonna go 0-0. I generally think it's going to be another 0-0.
But the thing is,
I can't see a goal.
The thing is, I think we said this when Carlisle played Gillingham, and that finished 0-0. As to how much I think this is a big opportunity for Carlisle, and yes, maybe a point is all right on the face of it, but we're at a point now where points mean naff all. They need wins, because ultimately, if they don't get those wins pretty quickly, they're going down. I'm very undecided. I'm probably closer edging towards a draw, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one, probably I fancy Carlisle. Actually, I've been a bit meh with Barrow at the minute.
And this is the bizarre one, right? Is this almost goes back to the really poor bottom 3 in the league. Carlisle have played 32 games this season, and they've lost 19 of them. Yet they're only 5 points adrift of safety. If that doesn't show you how poor this league is at the bottom end, probably nothing will. Oh my God, MK is 17th. Sorry, I've only just seen that.
Yeah, just
sorry, there's 17th.
Screenshot if you like. It's great viewing.
Hold on, I'll take the screenshot of that. Yeah.
Are we all other than Tranmere, of course? Are we all higher than MK? Yeah, Newport are 60.
Yeah.
Right. I would have laughed at all of you if you said that we were like 4th out of those 5 teams. That's a whole other sort of story.
Something we'll correct. Look where the highest out of the 5 gets in. Who'd have thought that? And not just that. We're 8th, so have some of that. Well, ignore the stuff for the 9th.
We're middle of the park, I think, if my maths is right. Yeah, 3rd.
Yeah.
Is that promotion? Yeah. Are we going up from top?
Get the open top plus ready. That champagne.
Yeah, I'm going to get my. We're going to do the animation like on FIFA, when they lift the trophy, but there's no trophy there. That's what we're going to do. That's our trophy this season. Mid-table security, once more.
As always. Same again next season, and the season after that, and the one after that.
I hate this so much.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the other games. Salford, Bradford, half 12. Jake, we'll have your thoughts first. Bradford at home. Probably not the game you want at the minute.
No, we've got so many injuries and so many defensive mistakes, and you come up against a team that don't concede and are very good going forward. So I can't see it being anything other than a routine Bradford win. But I hope that we can have a bit of a similar game than when we played Notts County at half 12 and an early kick-off, and we won 3-0. So hopefully if we replicate that, then we have a chance of kickstarting a bit of a playoff push if we've fallen off it a little bit. So hopefully it kickstarts again.
Yeah, I think there's maybe opportunities for 1 or 2 problems, but you must have taken that recent form and the injuries there. I think you probably got to back Bradford on current form at the minute. Bigger way following there, as expected, and they've really got the momentum at the minute. That's for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you've said I'm glad, Jake, you've said that it's a routine Bradford win before I have, because that's all I'm looking at, if I'm being honest. So I was trying to find any kind of justification for it to be anything else, and I just can't. For me, this is just another Bradford win.
I'm not going to agree. And the reason I'm not going to agree is because Bradford are really good at home, right? What's it, 7, 8 wins up in a row? They've only lost 1 at home all season. They love a draw away. They're not exactly firing on all cylinders away from home. 16 played, 4 wins, 6 draws, 6 losses. So you know what? I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic for our Jake here, guys. Smile a little bit. Be a little bit happy here. Salford are going to get a historic point to leave them in exactly the same place that they are right now. They're going to get a point.
You would have not said anything towards a Salford result at the start of the season when we did those predictions on Twitter.
I should do those more. Yeah, actually, I changed my mind. Bradford 7-0. 8-0, actually. Yeah, 8-0. Run it back.
Perfect. Tranmere against Port Vale. Obviously, Tranmere will be under the management of Andy Crosby this weekend after Nigel Adkins left the club last night. Port Vale, they're on very good form at the minute. Back-to-back wins. They're unbeaten in 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they beat Salford last time out.
Oh, 8. 8 is that I hear.
Is it 8? Is it? I don't know.
I hope it's 8.
I don't know.
I love that I can still make these jokes. It's brilliant.
Oh, you're on about the yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to figure out what you were saying. Yeah, I think Port Vale are too strong for him.
Yeah, I think that's just being realistic. I mean, as you've alluded to it there, Port Vale haven't lost in the league yet in 2025. And, regardless of whatever bounce Tranmere could possibly have, surely there's not enough there to stop that from being a Port Vale win. I would be absolutely shocked if it's not.
Yeah, totally agree. There's literally nothing happening for Tranmere at the minute. They're not scoring goals, so they're not going to win the game.
Yeah. They won't score. They'll concede a good few. Job done.
Yeah, pretty much that. Let's have a look at AFC Wimbledon, Bromley now. These are 2. Now, we mentioned about, I think with AFC Wimbledon, I think they played, was it Colchester recently, and how much I think of a difficult game that could be. Obviously, they'll be disappointed, I think, maybe to concede so late in that one. I think Bromley might possess a similar somewhat style. Obviously, I think Wimbledon will probably back themselves at Plough Lane. We do have another comment from Bobbinist. A bit worried about Bromley down at Plough Lane. It's a sort of game that they lose. I think I'm right in saying he only lost like twice at Plough Lane. I think was it all season. Walsall was one, and Grimsby was the other. That was a great day. That. I'm probably more again. There's 2 London. I'm on the impression that I think this might be another draw, and but I think to caveat that, I think you're probably looking at AFC's home form, AFC Wimbledon's home form, and you maybe say they back themselves at home. But I just think it just feels like another draw. But again, if I had to pick a win, I'd probably leaning towards AFC Wimbledon. It's just nothing on Bromley, by the way, because I do like them.
Oh, that home form was the exact thing I was about to bring up. AFC have not lost at home since the 30th of November, which was the FA Cup game against Dagenham and Redbridge. Had to bring that up.
And I've lost that one as well. I was more going off the games. That, yeah.
Well, yeah, and so it's a cup game, but even so, it's the point is it's a while ago. It's a long while ago. So although their results haven't necessarily been convincing of late, I think, like I said, I think Bromley are a side that can be picked apart, and I think at home AFC do win that.
Yeah, exactly that. AFC Wimbledon are going to win it comfortably.
I wouldn't say comfortably. They're both in okay form. Wimbledon recently, they're keeping a lot of clean sheets, but then they're also not putting the ball in the back of the net. Again, a lot of nil-nils. Bromley, they don't wipe teams out the water either. I would imagine this will be a scrappy game. There won't be much in it. If I am to back anyone, though, I think you do probably lean Wimbledon's way just because of that home form. But at the same time, it wouldn't shock me if Bromley got a result from that game by any stretch.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I don't expect there to be much in this at all. If it was going to be anything. But it's just more the home form, which just sways me towards Wimbledon slightly. But I just think it'll be a draw. I'm going to be perfectly honest. That's just what I'm thinking. Cheltenham Grimsby. Now this is a game, against two decent sides. I think Grimsby, we're coming into this. 4 wins from 4 in February, unbeaten in our last 5. Obviously Cheltenham, they've been pretty good recently. They've got a few wins. Are very good at home. This one's an interesting one. I think. If you was to ask me right now, I would snap your hand off for a draw. I think they're a very good team, and they've certainly got some momentum going under Michael Flynn. It'll be my first trip there. I've not been to Cheltenham. There should be a decent away following, and probably, like you said, with our recent form. I'd say, I think it'll be a draw, but I think that's just more of the Grimsby fan in me just sort of hoping that. And if it is a draw, I really don't think that is the worst result in the world because I really like what Cheltenham have done in recent weeks.
Well, yeah, I think this one's a really tricky one to call. Obviously Grimsby have been on a nice little unbeaten run. Obviously the 4 wins, as you were saying, but then Cheltenham have the momentum of that late point there, which will feel like a win against the league leaders. I think for me, I'm just about going to lean towards Grimsby just because it would be very typical League 2 for Cheltenham to have a really, really good result like that and then just flop the next game. And that's also one of the reasons they've not been up there thus far this season. So I'm going to go with Grimsby.
One thing I will just mention as well, there's been a few times in which, we've done okay against teams that have maybe played midweek where we've had a bit of a spare week. I'm not sure if that's anything. I could be talking way off the mark there. But there has been a couple of times where it's happened. So there's maybe the argument there. But yeah, like I said, I'd snap your hand off for a draw personally.
Yeah, I'm going to say a draw. It's 2 good sides and it'll be a tough game for both teams, really. I just don't know which way it's going to go. So I'm going to say draw.
It's a tough one, and I think it's going to be a tough one when even you look at the predictions. You have 2 draws. Luke leaning towards Grimsby. I'm going to lean towards Cheltenham, just about. Maybe it's the Michael Flynn thing. Maybe it's the 99% of them are former Newport players. I don't know. But yeah, it's that one's a tough one to call. No matter what team wins, I won't look at it and go, yeah, how? This result could go whatever way, and you could probably see it coming in one way or another. It's a difficult one to call, but I'm going to slightly lean towards Cheltenham for probably more of the home advantage, if anything.
Yeah, I can't really argue. As much as I kind of want to say boo. Cheltenham against Crewe. This is a pretty big one, mainly for Crewe, but I think Chesterfield have somewhat slid a little bit. I think they're getting to a point where I think playoffs are somewhat getting away from them. I do fancy the likes of Colchester, Cheltenham, Bromley, all them sort of teams more than Chesterfield at the minute. They have just been a little bit inconsistent. Crewe haven't been the best as of late. A few injuries and all that, but picked up a good win against Crewe in the week. But I don't know. This one's a really difficult one. I think I'm itching towards Chesterfield for one or two reasons. I kind of hope it's Chesterfield because if we pick up a good result, we could go above Crewe. So there's that element to it, and I'm not just saying that for hopefully our fortunes, but I think there's something about Chesterfield in this sort of game that I think that just sways it for me. I think maybe the fact they went to Crewe early in the season and battered him. I think that might have played a little part in my thinking here, but overall, I really don't think it is. I don't know. This one's a really difficult game to predict, but again, I don't think it's a game in which I don't think there'll be a lot in it for either team again. But I can't keep saying draw, so I feel like I've got to have some winners in there. And I just itch towards Chesterfield for one reason or another in this one.
Yeah, I think it is a tricky one, to be fair. You've kind of got the two injury hit sides. Chesterfield that seem to have just about everyone injured, and then obviously Crewe that have just about all their attackers injured. But then they did go and score 3 in their last game, and that is exactly why I'm going to back Crewe. I think momentum's a big enough thing in football, and they've had their slump. I think getting that one result could be a huge boost for them, even though they still have a couple of bodies missing.
Yeah, I'm going to say Chesterfield as well, because throughout the season it's not been the good teams they've struggled against. It's been the sides that have been down there, so that's why I'm leaning towards Chesterfield.
I'm going to lean towards Chesterfield as well, maybe in the same format of Jordan, the game earlier on in the season. But I don't think necessarily, if you look at both sides of the injuries, I think probably Crewe are better off in terms of numbers. But I think the names that are out for Crewe are pivotal in the way they usually play. You've got all the attackers, like Luke mentioned. Mickey Dimitri, who's also injured. He's an absolute rock at the back, one of the better defenders in this division. Also, the absolute king of football, Omar Bogle, is out, unfortunately, as well. So,
I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah, nor am I. I'm also going to go Chesterfield on this one, but in the same way, in the same breath, I understand Luke's reasoning for Crewe about the momentum and whatnot. I just think it's a lot to ask to go from beating a relatively poor Barrow to then going to a Chesterfield who do really well against sides at the top end of the league.
Mm-hmm. Kieran, we'll come to you next for the next one. What do you think about Newport's trip to Doncaster?
First of all, Doncaster's in the middle of nowhere, entirely unrelated. Like, there's nothing around their ground, and we've already had a conversation about this.
Nothing is that.
Yeah, they're really poor, really poor. But now I'm going to expect all of you to say Doncaster win. It's at home. They're at okay-ish form, I suppose. But I'm going to go for us to win for no reason other than we beat them every time. No matter what form we're in, no matter how poor we're doing, we always beat Doncaster. So literally for that reason and nothing else, because everything in my body logically is pointing towards Doncaster winning them, other than the fact we beat them every single time we play them. So yeah, Newport are going to win it. Jardy, manager of the month, and the statue will be going up.
Well, you say that you reckon that the others. I can't even speak. The other three. Me, Luke, and Jay. We'll look at it that way. Probably more reaching towards a Doncaster win. And you know what? I'm feeling different. I'm going to go for a Doncaster win. I sort of had you on the ropes there.
You know what, John? It's almost like I was listening to you saying that, and I was going to go, he's going to say a Doncaster win, isn't he? What a shock. Fair play.
That's exactly what I'm going to go for. A couple of wins, more coming to not the best of sides, but, they're at home, they've got a couple of wins. They've had back-to-back red cards in both those games, which is another thing, but I think...
I didn't even factor in the fact we've not got a striker.
Yeah,
that's all right. Josh Martin will score a hat-trick, no problem.
It's just their attacking quality. I just think we'll shine through. Newport do concede a few as well, so there's that. When they're on it, Doncaster are a real joy to watch.
Yeah, Doncaster's home form, though, that I'm not necessarily convinced by their home form. Even if
look at our away form, you won't be convinced by that either.
Well, yeah, there is that to it as well. But the sides Doncaster beat at home haven't necessarily been strong. Obviously they beat us. That happens every time. They beat Harrogate, but I'm actually leaning towards a draw on this one. Just because I don't think Doncaster are going to have the quality on the day, but their home form just hasn't been good enough for me to justify it.
Luke's back just to get a point. What a day! What a day!
I'm going to crush Kieran's happiness and say Doncaster.
Thanks for that, Jake. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't have predicted you to lose every game at the start of the season. Maybe I shouldn't have.
I should have continued it. Yeah. Fleetwood, Notts County. Fleetwood, they picked up that win at Gillingham last night. We know that Gillingham haven't been great, for months, let alone weeks. But it's a good win, long way to travel last night, and to come from behind as well. Fair play to the Fleetwood fans that went last night, because that's a hell of a trek for a Tuesday night. Notts County, they're not doing too bad. They had to work hard for their win against Tranmere last time out, but they managed to get themselves over the line. And I honestly think Fleetwood might cause Notts one or two problems in this game. I don't think they'll have it all their own way. You probably do expect a Notts County win on paper. We have a look at Fleetwood, and they are a bit inconsistent. I think with Fleetwood at home, I think it'll be a draw. I just sort of get that impression. We know that Notts County have a fair bit of firepower. I think they do have one or two that are out injured at the minute, though. But I don't know. I just sort of get that vibe that it could be, that Fleetwood might get something from this game. I just get that feeling.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be a win for Fleetwood just because...
I don't think it'll be a win, but I just think, there's a part of me that just sort of thinks that they might do something.
Well, yeah, I mean, looking at their previous fixtures, they've only won 2 in a row a couple of times this season. And most of those were, right at the other end of the season, right at the very beginning. So for me, I'm not necessarily convinced by Fleetwood. I think what you said about it being a home game sort of makes it a little bit closer for me. So I think I'm going to sit on a draw as well.
I was going to say a draw, but I'll be different now, and I'll say Notts County.
I'm going to say Notts County win at about 4-0.
Fair enough.
They're really good at attacking. I really like watching Notts County. And as Luke mentioned, Fleetwood can't string a run of results together to save their life. And I don't think it's going to start with a difficult game at Notts County. Well, against Notts County.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll rattle through these other four real quickly. Gillingham up against Morecambe at Priestfield. Look, Gillingham need a win. They just need that win. They need to get that monkey off their back. But again, I think probably from a Morecambe perspective, you're probably looking at what Gillingham are doing recently. Yes, they're away. They'd liked it if they was at home. But you're probably looking at it and you think, right, okay, maybe there's an opportunity here. I mean, football just says it is. But I tell you what, I'm going to go for a Gillingham win. I think they'll win a game in this. I know, bold, isn't it?
Not for me.
In terms of where Gills have been recently.
I think that one's that. I'd like to think you're right, and that Gillingham will show any kind of level of fight. I don't think they will, if I'm being honest. I think Morecambe, although they're clearly a very poor side in this division, they do occasionally sort of pull out a win, and their form kind of shows that as well. So for me, I think this is a Morecambe win.
Yeah, I agree. Gillingham are really easy to play against, and Morecambe aren't, so Morecambe are going to win it.
I'm going to go for a draw. It's two poor sides. Just a dull game of football.
Yeah, they are two atrocious teams, aren't they? I probably didn't think more for the fact that Gillingham didn't even beat Carlisle the other week.
If I'm to lean it one way, I'm leaning it Morecambe's way. Just for the reason that they have fights, and Gillingham, I mean,
maybe, but I sort of see the argument for Gills as well. For some reason, I don't know why. I shouldn't be.
I think you look at the teams on paper, don't you? And you say Gillingham.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why. I think I'm just looking at it in terms of individual quality, but it means naffle, especially recent weeks for Gills, who have been absolutely appalling. But Morecambe really aren't great either. Yes, they might show a little bit of fight, but they're really not a great side. And that's sort of where I'm getting from with that. Harrogate, Accrington. Again, this feels like a biggish game for both. I think the pressure's off Accrington a little bit after winning last night. They're still very much on. Harrogate are still in and around there. This is a difficult one. I do think there'll be a winner though, and I'm itching towards Accrington actually. I think good win. There was a good win, the other night. The other night being last night against Tranmere. They'll go to Harrogate, who, they're not the best of sides at all either. I very nearly said Harrogate, but I just think I'm swaying slightly towards Accrington at the minute. And I think if they win that, I think any nerves, any worries of relegation, I think will calm down loads, to be honest.
The thing is, if any of these sides at the bottom of the division had any signs of consistency, they wouldn't be at the bottom of this division. The only consistent factor I can find in this game is that Harrogate are unbeaten at home in 4 games. So I'm going to back Harrogate for this one.
I'm going to say a draw because it's 2 poor sides. They're going to be a little bit scared to lose it, so I'll say draw.
I was about to go draw, but I'm going to lean towards Accrington, mainly for the reason, and I really hope he isn't injured. No, he's not. Sean Wally, 37 years old, what a baller. Fair play to him. He's going to score about 7.
Yeah, I was on about him earlier as well. I thought he took his goal really well last night. It was a bit of a mess from a Tranmere perspective, but he still had a lot to do.
He scored some wonderful goals this season, and in the same way that who did they have last season? Was it Jack Nolan? Who Accrington had last season, and he scored about 30 goals, and you could argue he was one of the sole reasons they stayed up. Sean Wally has 12 goal contributions this season. He's that little semi-version of Jack Nolan.
Yeah, he's been around a bit as Sean Wally. He's a wonderful footballer. He can score a goal or two, and it's certainly maybe at times just what Accrington are holding out on. I mean, Tranmere could do with a bit.
Tranmere could do with Sean Wally.
They could do with a player like Sean Wally at the minute. I think anyone, to be quite honest. MK Dons Colchester. Luke, thoughts? I'd imagine this will be a very difficult game for you lot. Coming up against Danny Cowley side, in which we know how much you love teams like a Danny Cowley side.
But yeah, we don't beat Danny Cowley sides ever. Absolutely ever. Never happens. And Colchester are my dark horse pick, as I keep saying, for playoffs. I still think they're going to make it, and I think they've got an easy 3 points here, if I'm being totally honest. Here's a fun fact I found out earlier. We haven't scored at home on a 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff since about halfway through November. And that goal was Lawrence Maguire against Cheltenham. And he's been injured for the last 2 months, so this isn't going to go well, is it? This is a Colchester win.
I think his brother scored tonight in other news.
Yeah, he did,
yeah. For Man United.
Isn't it bizarre? You got 2 Maguires, 2 professional footballers, and they both get criticised for their own separate reasons.
Yeah, man, in it. I'm itching towards Colchester in this. Physically, they're strong. I think they'll deal with what MK Dons. It's not like MK Dons have really offered much, especially against Bradford. They offered something, all right, and that's
3 points.
3 points. Yeah, 3
points. Yeah.
In which they've been pretty good at doing it.
You know, hey, we put it this way, right? MK are a well-disliked club throughout the entirety of the EFL for reasons we won't discuss into. So now what they've decided to do is, you know what, guys, we'll make you like us a little bit more. We'll just gift a few teams 3 points, go in the good books. That's their plan this season. I
can assure you we don't care. I can assure you we don't care. We will be rising up. I'm sure
it won't be this season, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it won't be this
season.
Probably not this season. I've been predicted us to finish 18th. I think you might take that 18th spot off of us. So
it's tight, isn't it?
Right.
Wow.
With the facilities and the resources we've got at our disposal, there's no reason for
18th. Which one of us finishes 18th? I'll give you a tenner if you finish 18th.
Yeah, well, two of you owe me a tenner. Come on now.
Speaking of which, Jake, where's Jordan's tenner?
I've been mentioned tonight.
Yeah.
In the post. You know what the Daily Mail
is in the post.
Oh yeah, we know how long that they take. The recorded delivery. It better be on recorded delivery. Anyway, quick thoughts on this one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't even give a thought tonight. Colchester.
Too busy talking about raw mail delivery.
Forgot about that. Colchester.
Yeah, over the hour market. Probably.
Yeah. The way the game's going to pan, MK going to have about 75% of the ball. Colchester are going to win about 2-3 now. That's about how it's going to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Colchester will win it.
Right. Okay. Walsall, obviously, Then again, they're at home to Swindon. Probably not with Ian Holloway, though. I saw that he's been charged after his red card the other day, which it still amuses me. It's going to happen to a nicer bloke. I think last night I think would have been a bit of a kick in the balls. I think for Walsall, but I think we're probably looking at it for the fact that they're still in a good position. They are at home. We know they've been very good at home. Obviously, Swindon have been still on a very good run. Obviously, they beat Chesterfield last week. Did lose to Harrogate, but ultimately they've that's their only defeat in their last 7. They've won 5 of them, so they're very much they've had a bit of a good run recently. This is a tough one.
Just say Walsall win and get it over with. They don't lose at home.
Yeah, I am itching towards Walsall.
Yeah, that's not what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna be really funny with this one.
You go Swindon here.
I'm going for Swindon taking over Walsall. As I read a few comments on Twitter, Swindon Town, the massive ultras take over Walsall and get a historic win over them to have Ian Holloway's men march on to a top 7 push and overtake Grimsby on the final day to finish in the playoffs.
Don't say that. That just sounds like hell.
Write this one down. Write it down.
I still don't expect us to make the playoffs if it is. If it's to the extent of Ian Holloway, Swindon Town, then we've got problems. As much as they've been good, I do not want to become second fiddle to an Ian Holloway side.
Again.
It's nothing on Swindon. I just don't like the bloke.
Why do you think I've said it? That's exactly why I've said it. I don't have any logic towards that one.
I'm aware. I don't like you.
I think we've established that. I'm going to back Walsall. I think it's the safe bet here. I do think it'll be a relatively close game, but again, you just can't get around looking at that at Walsall's home form. It just seems like a routine win. They'll get back to normal.
Yeah, exactly that. What Luke said. Walsall are going to win it.
Perfect. Sorry if you've been watching me sort of mute and cough all the way through this. I'm still recovering from whatever I had. I mean, look, I sounded 10 times better than what I did the other night. I couldn't have sounded any worse, to be quite honest. But I think that's where we'll wrap it up. This has been a lot of fun. Obviously, we have gone a little bit longer than the hour mark than what we normally do. But this is a live. I'm not sure if it's there. I don't know. Probably not. But, this has been great fun. We did have a comment, actually, that's just coming from in last team not to show Bradford any respect were Walsall. I mean, they beat 3-0, didn't they? I mean, that was a sort of the start of their little mini downturn, wasn't it? For Walsall, am I thinking that right? And I don't know.
Am I seeing there that Walsall didn't show a team respect? No, I can see that as a Dean typing. That's Derek Adams on a secret account. That is so Derek Adams on a secret account.
We didn't even touch on that on Sunday, and that's what really annoyed me. Actually, looking back, we didn't mention about Derek Adams and what he had to say about Walsall. That was an interesting interview, but it's nothing out of the ordinary from Derek Adams. It's what you'd come to expect from him.
I got to be the guy to do it as well. I got to be the guy to say it, Ryan. You're talking about respect. You've walked out on the team you're managing twice. Have a day off, man. Have a day off. He boils my blood. He really does.
He does say some weird stuff at times. It won't be long before
you can't walk out of a club twice and then talk about respect. You can't that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
I'll be back. Don't worry, I'll be back at Ross County soon. Then he'll be back at Morecambe, and then
then he'll go to Bradford for a little bit. Then he'll go back up to Ross County.
Can't imagine him going back to Bradford. And see the reception now. I don't think it'd be a pretty one.
He goes MK then after that. Goes down to MK.
Okay.
What's a chance? I'm more likely to manage the club, let's be real.
Luke's putting it as his managerial CV as well. I'm sure he did something well on Football Manager once upon a time. There's his managerial CV.
I think we'll wrap it up there. Yeah, probably a good time to end it. Yeah, this is the first of hopefully for you lads, we thought we'd try it out tonight. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Thank you again for 600 subscribers on YouTube. We really do appreciate your support, and let's keep it going between now and the end of the season. Share these podcasts with your mates, your friends, your family, whoever. We enjoy doing these, and we have a lot of fun. Catching up every week. I probably I won't be on the pod on Sunday actually because I've got work. So you'll be without me on Sunday.
I'm also at work. I won't be there either.
Unfortunately. So, but I'm sure that there'll be one or two, maybe. I don't know. Well, we'll have to see. There should be a pod on Monday. That'll be a recorded one. Thank you guys for listening. Obviously, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here. Obviously, as always, let us know what your thoughts are on your team and the results. Excuse me, and what you think the results will be this weekend. Like I said, we really do appreciate your support, and we thank you for that. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good rest of your evening, and we'll see you soon.